Welcome everyone to the Space Chain G7 Cornwall podcast. Today we're joined by Zheheng Xiang, the Space Chain UK Technology Manager, and myself. We're going to talk about space and blockchain and have a talk about some of the Space Chain projects and how they integrate with space in Cornwall, especially Spaceport Cornwall, all the things going on there. Just want to ask Zheheng, if you want to do a brief introduction to you.
So hello everyone, my name is Zheheng, and I'm the technology manager in Space Chain UK. So I have been with Space Chain for several years and mainly in charge of the research and development activity of blockchain technology with space. In Space Chain. So I graduated from Cambridge with a PhD in quantum physics, and I saw a lot of common features of, let's say, quantum communication with blockchain. So that's why I'm super interested in working in this space, and I benefit a lot from my work. So yeah, nice to meet all you guys, and wish to have a good time in this talk.
That's great. Thanks a lot, Zheheng, for the introduction. As we just had the G7 summit in Cornwall, and as Cornwall's playing an important role in developing the new space economy with things like Spaceport Cornwall and Goonhilly Earth Station, thought it'd be a good idea to have a talk about some of the Space Chain projects, and we prepared a few points that we'll talk about today. So let's just start by maybe Zheheng, you could give a brief introduction to Space Chain, just describe in a few sentences what it is we're doing.
Sure. So Space Chain is basically integrating the blockchain technology in space. So as from the name and from what we're doing, we are a very interdisciplinary company with experts in both the blockchain industry, with lots of talent developers, and also in satellite engineering. So we have an engineering team prototyping this satellite payload and dealing with the satellite bus. So we are also a very international company with offices in Singapore, in the United Kingdom, in the US, and in China. And we really hope that via the decentralized feature of blockchain, we can shorten the distance of reaching the trust for different companies and individuals, so we can collaborate in a more transparent way. So that's what Space Chain is doing overall.
That's a great introduction, Zheheng. How about you give a brief intro to why blockchain in space? Because I know lots of people and lots of companies are curious to know how blockchain can be used in the space industry. So maybe it'd be good to talk about that in a few words. Why blockchain in space?
Sure. So space technology, especially space communication, it is very, let's say, very wide. So via space or satellite communication, you can reach to every single corner on the Earth, and that is very advantageous for communication-based technology. And also, space or satellite technology is physically secure. It is not located on the Earth, and also, it can be accessed via a point on the Earth various times per day or various times per week. So that's a very good feature of space technology, and that's why it can really help blockchain industry.
No, that's great. That's a good explanation of blockchain in space. So I know that Space Chain has, since its founding in 2017, has carried out quite a few launches now in China, in the US, and now with Spaceport Cornwall being set up in Cornwall, and with Virgin Orbit hoping to launch there in 2022, maybe you could talk a bit about some of the previous Space Chain launches, who they're with, and what the purpose was.
Sure. So the two most recent launches are towards the International Space Station. So the first launch to the ISS was in December 2019. So with that launch, we developed a blockchain light node for Bitcoin network and integrate that with a payload. So the payload is a FPGA board, basically, with this node integrated on it. So that has been installed in January 2020 and is currently in operation to support transactions. And the second launch for the ISS is just happened. It's June 2021. We integrate the Ethereum wallet on it. So that supports the Ethereum transaction. So before these two launches, we did two LEO satellite launch with Qtum blockchain and Bitcoin integrated in it. So we have quite extensive experience in launches.
And what's the roadmap in terms of launches for the next couple of years? Do you think Spaceport Cornwall could be an option for launch in 2022?
Yeah, definitely. So the previous launches were in Asia and in the North America, and we really hope that we can have some launch in the UK as well. And we're actually working towards it. And I think in 2022 we should have a launch from the UK.
That would be brilliant. That was fantastic. So let's move on now to the one of the key SpaceChain products, which is the Space Wallet. So I know that SpaceChain received funding from the European Space Agency Kickstart program to build the Space Wallet. Maybe you could give a detailed explanation of Space Wallet and what it is exactly and who the customers are.
Yeah, so the Space Wallet is basically a blockchain wallet integrated in a satellite payload. So the wallet is in fact a light blockchain node. So it verifies transaction, it has the private key integrated in it, and also it broadcasts the signed transaction to the blockchain network. So the traditional blockchain transaction happens on the ground. So normally you have a wallet with the private key being similar to your password. And when you initiate a transaction, you use the private key to sign it. And the signature got verified by the network, and then the transaction is valid. So that's why the private key is super important, and it can be easily lost if you store it on a client software on your PC. So we instead use a multi-signature scheme. So instead of having one key, you use multiple keys. And when initiating a transaction, you need to use the majority of your keys to sign it. So we move one step forward. So we put one of the keys on the satellite. So that means if you want to initiate a transaction, you need to use one of the keys on the ground to sign the transaction. And also you need to activate the payload on the satellite to sign it. So that really protects your digital asset from getting lost or getting stolen, because anyone who wants to steal the digital asset needs to get access to the satellite, and that is super difficult. So basically that's what the Space Wallet is and how it operates. So currently we have two customers for the satellite Space Wallet already. So one is a digital bank based in Malaysia. It's called Nexus. So they are supporting the customers realizing the blockchain transactions with the space payload integrated on the ISS. And the other is a blockchain exchange located in Kazakhstan. So we have a quite long-term collaboration with them, supporting with them the technology for blockchain space.
That's fantastic. Yeah, of course, the fintech and digital asset industry is booming, and it's great to see SpaceChain try to exploit that market. So let's talk now about the other main SpaceChain innovation, which is called DSI, Decentralized Satellite Infrastructure. I know this project's being funded by Innovate UK, and it's something SpaceChain has a big focus on. Maybe you could talk a bit about DSI and what the consortium is and how the Innovate UK project is going.
Yeah, sure. So DSI, short for Decentralized Satellite Infrastructure. So the idea was with the kind of construction of SpaceChain company. So we know that for space industry, companies or countries are more or less doing space business alone. So there are some collaborations. However, if you are a satellite company, you still want to keep the development in-house. But as we mentioned, and as most countries mentioned, that the space is actually to be shared by the human on the Earth. But there are not much procedures for the collaborations in space, apart from at the government level. So that's why we really want to kind of decentralize the space to let companies be able to collaborate with each other in a transparent way, and also to bring the space technology more to the ground, to let people get access to space technology more easily. So yeah, we started with this innovative idea, and we built the architecture of it, and it's a great pleasure to get the support from Innovate UK to develop this project. So this decentralized space infrastructure seems to be quite big. However, we developed that based on steps. So the first step is to realize a software-based platform. So it's more like an e-commerce platform for space applications, just as, let's say, Amazon or the other e-commerce platform. But the nice feature of it is that it has a blockchain layer underneath it. It does not only provide the payment method via blockchain, but also it provides the transparent, secure blockchain layer underneath it. The data could be stored on a decentralized network. The access point is decentralized and transparent. You can always see who access which part of your data and who uses which service provided by a third party. And then we integrate the payment layer with the smart contract. So any profit made by, let's say, 3 products could be nicely split, and the actual fund goes to the service providers. So that's the digital platform that we're going to build to initiate the decentralized satellite infrastructure. And the second step will be more towards the spacecraft and hardware layer. So we really want to build a satellite network with the DSI integrated in it. So in this network, the spacecraft will be like a node in the space, and the satellite will be an identity on a blockchain. So via this network, the trust could be built, and it opens new potentials for companies to collaborate with each other and for people to get more access to the space asset and space resources. So the Innovate UK project started last month, and it lasts for 33 months. So it's a very long project. And within the consortium, we have Alba Orbital supporting us with their Pocket CubeSat and the space communication capability. So we will integrate a blockchain payload on the Pocket Cube and realize a demonstration for the decentralized space network via the satellite bus. And the other partner is AddValue from Singapore. So AddValue has a really cool technology called IDIS. So it connects the LEO satellite to the GEO satellite. So we'll also have that communication module with our payload, so we can really realize a full closed loop demonstration of how the decentralized space satellite infrastructure works. yeah, so that's about the DSI project.
So the consortium is made up at the moment of SpaceChain, Albert Orbital, and Add Value. Looking forward, what types of companies are you looking to join the project? And do you have any ideas about the types of companies you'd like to join, and what's the plan in that sense?
Yeah, so we have already spoken with various companies in the Earth observation industry, because I think that's one of the earliest applications that we're focusing on. So people can, or the Earth observation companies can contribute with the EO data on the platform, and people from ground or even in the blockchain industry can get access to the data in a very easy way. And also we're going to integrate the algorithms on the platform, so people can choose to use which algorithm to analyze what data, and get the result just by one click. So that's one of the early adopters, and we have been in conversation with lots of EO companies in the Europe already. So we'll have some quite extensive EO data resources for this platform. And I think one of the other like early applications will be more towards the space experiment. So for example, the company in Israel called Space Farmer, it could be a nice kind of participant of the DSI, because instead of going to the company, you can order the space experiment bit online. So you can use the digital platform as a way to access the experiment, place orders, and see what result you get.
Brilliant. That's a very exciting project. And yeah, we hope that SpaceChain can develop that down in Cornwall with Cornish space companies. So let's move now to the next, and I think probably the final SpaceChain product, which is called Store4EO, which was funded by the ESA, and is a project with SpaceChain and Deimos. This is another very exciting SpaceChain project. Maybe Zahong, you want to give some info about this and how that works?
Sure. So we developed the platform Store4EO with Deimos Space UK. So they are an Earth observation company, also doing the e-commerce platform for space. So in this platform, they integrate the Earth observation data and the Earth observation services. So this platform provides various endpoints for the EO data providers to integrate the data on. And also it supports the user with various services, for example, the data subscription or data ordering from the platform. So as a user, when you log on the platform, you can directly order the EO images and select any type of services that you want. So yeah, it is actually one of the first e-commerce platforms for people to purchase the data and services with different third-party integrated on it, which is a very big step forward in the space industry. So the nice feature of it is that we integrate a blockchain payment method in it as a trend. For example, in Tesla, they accept the Bitcoin as the blockchain payment method. So that's what we will be doing as well. So we integrate blockchain and we integrate Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other major cryptocurrencies on it, so people can really purchase EO data and use it using their digital asset. And that's a true kind of step forward for the space industry.
And in the Store4EO, is the blockchain just being used as a payment method, or are there plans to use blockchain to verify and timestamp the authenticity of the EO data on the platform?
Yeah, so the payment method is one of the first steps. The other one that we're doing now is to have a database on chain. So let's say for a traditional like e-commerce platform, normally the transaction data is stored locally on a local server. But what we will be doing is to use the blockchain to store the transaction record. So so things could be more transparent. And then the next step is to generate, as you mentioned, timestamps for different EO data. So the actual image or the actual space data could be utilized with their timestamp as the evidence, as the resource for time series analysis. Very useful for different applications, including science and research.
Thanks, Ahang. That's very, very informative and interesting. Okay, let's move on now to another area, which is very relevant to you with your background in quantum communications from Cambridge. So I thought we'd talk now a bit about the intersection of blockchain, quantum key distribution in space, and see what projects are ongoing in that. Because I know that at the G7 summit, there was a new project announced by the UK and some other countries to build a satellite-based quantum network. Maybe you could talk a bit about SpaceChain's plans for this area and your ideas about this area in general.
Yes, certainly. So when I saw the news about building a satellite quantum network within the G7 country, I was super excited, because I think that's we can provide one of the strongest use case for the satellite quantum network. So currently what we're doing, as I introduced in the Space Wallet section, we are integrating the keys, the customer's private keys on that wallet, which is put then onto a satellite payload. So similarly, what the quantum satellite network can do is that it uses the quantum communication link from space to ground or among spacecraft. So it teleports or it transmits the keys in a physically secure way. So that is really advantageous for blockchain transactions, because your private key or your digital asset is protected by the private key. And if you can make the transaction link ultra secure, you can have a unbreakable blockchain transaction. And that is that will solve one of the major issues for the blockchain technologies today. So we really want to develop or be a part of the development team for the satellite quantum network, and utilize our commercial resources to bring customers onto the commercial network, and also to bring more features in that network.
Is SpaceChain working on any QKD projects at the moment? Are you looking at funding from, say, ESA or Innovate UK, and any talks with UK-based quantum companies?
Yeah, so we are in conversation with various quantum startups already. So we will provide the satellite bus and satellite payload, supporting the quantum light source and the detectors to be launched in space. And so that's one of the advantages that we provide. And actually, we are building a development team for that. So yeah, in terms of the project, we are reaching out to Innovate UK and ESA to see various opportunities. So we are quite active in this.
Great, that's brilliant. Okay, let's move on to the last topic now, which is a new area called NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So there's been some discussion around how to use NFTs for the space industry. I know SpaceChain is planning an ESA project to use NFTs for spectrum management. So maybe Zhiheng, you could talk briefly about what NFTs are and how they might be used in the space industry.
Sure. So the NFT is quite special. I really like the concept of it. So I think most people are familiar with Bitcoin. So NFT is you can view it as a special version of the digital currency. So for Bitcoin, you can have one Bitcoin and another one, but they are identical. But for NFT, none of the tokens on the chain is the same. So for example, like previously, people are making an artwork into one of the NFT tokens, and that itself have value. So, but I think people are only touching the surface applications of it, and there are more values to be explored. So what we plan to do for the NFT for space is that we want to use NFTs as a key for accessing the spectrum, for accessing the satellite communication spectrum. So as we mentioned just now, NFT is a token. It can be transferred on a blockchain network, and it has certain values. So what we will be doing is that we will encrypt some of the essential spectrum information as a format of NFT. So basically, you can imagine NFT being one of the keys to open the lock for satellite communication spectrum. And let's say SpaceChain has a satellite, and our partner, let's say Deimos Space UK, has another satellite. We are sharing one of the core spectrum in X-band. So then we have an NFT with the spectrum information integrated on that, and we develop a smart contract saying that for each company, we hold the NFT for 12 hours. So after this period, the NFT will be transferred to another company. So this is just a simple mechanism of how the management works. So as you can see that SpaceChain holds the NFT for 12 hours with the key to the spectrum. So we can do any kind of satellite communication within these 12 hours. And then the next 12 hours will be Deimos. So yeah, I think via this mechanism, people can really share the satellite spectrum using this way. And it is very transparent because you can always check the record on the blockchain. And it is very secure because your transaction will be integrated on a smart contract. And the smart contract is not modifiable normally on a blockchain. So via this mechanism, you can have a shared space economy and shared space communication network between different parties.
I understand. That's fantastic. Okay, Zahang, I think that's it for today. We've gone through some of the interesting SpaceChain projects, and we hope that we can contribute to the development of space down in Cornwall. And it's been great talking to you today, Zahang.
Yeah, same here. Hope we can together do something within the UK and help the business and space industry to go forward.
Yep, that would be fantastic. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.